Commander Zethara's secondary arms trembled as she reviewed the sensor logs for the 5th time. The data remained unchanged, impossible as it seemed. Where the hegemony's 7th fleet had been positioned just 12 standard hours. 237 vessels of the most advanced military force in the galaxy. Now there was nothing but empty space and scattered debris, no larger than a human fist. "Ma'am," her communications officer chittered nervously, his insectoid features pale with fear. "We're receiving priority transmissions from High Command. They're demanding explanations." Zethara's 4 eyes closed in sequence, a gesture of deep contemplation among her species. The Korthani had ruled this sector for 3 millennia, their technological superiority unquestioned. Their ships could glass planets, their shields could withstand supernovas, and their weapons could crack moons. Yet an entire fleet, their fleet, had simply vanished. "What was the last reported contact?" she asked. Though she knew the answer would only deepen the mystery, long-range scouts detected a single vessel at the edge of the system. Classification, unknown. The signature was unlike anything in our databases. The officer's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. The scouts reported it appeared to be of human origin. A collective intake of breath echoed across the bridge. Humans, those strange bipedal creatures from the Outer Rim territories. They had emerged onto the galactic stage barely 2 centuries ago. A species so young they still fought with chemical propellants and crude fusion reactors. The hegemony had catalogued them as a minor curiosity, potentially useful as labor or auxiliary forces once properly civilized. "Impossible," Zethara muttered. "Human technology is primitive at best. Their largest vessels are barely the size of our escort frigates." Her tactical officer, a reptilian saurian with scarred scales, spoke up. "With respect, Commander, we've had no direct contact with human forces in over 50 years. Intelligence suggests they've been unusually quiet." The viewscreen flickered to life, displaying the debris field where Admiral Vorth's flagship had commanded the fleet. Zethara had served under Vorth during the Epsilon campaign. He was cunning, ruthless, and had never lost a battle. His ships carried enough firepower to sterilize a dozen worlds. "Show me the scout recordings," she commanded. The footage was grainy, taken at extreme range. It showed a single vessel, sleek and dark, perhaps a kilometer in length. Nothing remarkable about its design until it moved. The ship didn't accelerate in any conventional sense. One moment it was stationary, the next it was simply elsewhere, as if space itself had bent around it. "Gravitational manipulation technology," breathed her science officer, a crystalline being whose form pulsed with excited energy. "But the power requirements would be astronomical. Even we haven't perfected such systems." Zethara studied the timestamp. The human vessel had appeared at 0347 Standard Time. By 0352, the entire 7th Fleet had vanished. 5 minutes. 237 ships eliminated in 5 minutes. Her communications array crackled with an incoming transmission. The signal was being broadcast on all frequencies, but the origin point was impossible. It was coming from where Admiral Vorth's flagship should have been. "Put it through," she ordered. The viewscreen filled with the image of a human face, pale skin, dark hair, eyes the color of Earth's ancient oceans. The creature looked remarkably calm for something that had just committed what could only be described as the greatest military catastrophe in galactic history. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the UHSV Prometheus," the human said, her voice carrying clearly through the translation matrix. "I am transmitting this message to all hegemony forces currently in this system." Zethara's crew exchanged bewildered glances. The human was using their own communication protocols, speaking their military frequencies as if she had been born to them. "Your 7th Fleet violated the territorial sovereignty of human space and threatened civilian populations," Captain Chen continued. "They were given multiple opportunities to withdraw. They chose not to. Consider this a demonstration of humanity's commitment to defending our borders." The transmission shifted, showing what appeared to be the interior of a human vessel. The technology was unlike anything in hegemony databases, surfaces that seemed to flow like liquid metal, displays that hovered in midair without visible projectors, and crew members who moved with the casual efficiency of a species that had mastered forces the hegemony was only beginning to understand. "Your intelligence is approximately 50 years out of date," Captain Chen said, as if reading Zethara's thoughts. Humanity has had time to develop. The view screen displayed technical schematics that made Zethara's science officer emit a high-pitched whine of distress. Dimensional phase generators, quantum displacement drives, weapons that could apparently unweave matter at the subatomic level. How? Zethara whispered. Captain Chen smiled, an expression that somehow managed to be both reassuring and terrifying. Your species think in terms of conquest and domination. You build bigger ships, stronger shields, more powerful weapons. Humans think in terms of problems to be solved. When you blockaded our space, you became a problem. The technical display shifted to show what appeared to be a complete schematic of hegemony military technology. Every ship class, every weapon system, every defensive measure, all of it mapped, analyzed, and cataloged with frightening precision. We've been watching, learning, adapting. Your scouts never reported our observation posts because you weren't looking for technology that could exist outside your understanding of physics. Captain Chen's expression grew serious. We don't want war. We never did. But we will not allow our people to be threatened. The transmission began to fade. The 7th Fleet still exists in a manner of speaking. They're currently in a stable dimensional pocket approximately 47 light-years from here. Their life support systems will sustain them for several months while they contemplate the wisdom of their actions. Whether they return to normal space depends entirely on the hegemony's next decisions. The signal cut out, leaving Zethara's bridge in stunned silence. In the days that followed, whispers spread throughout hegemony space, stories of a single human warship that had made an entire fleet simply disappear. Intelligence reports spoke of human vessels that moved like ghosts, appearing and vanishing at will. Trade routes that had been secure for centuries suddenly became unreliable, as merchant captains reported strange encounters with ships that shouldn't exist. The hegemony's response was swift and predictable. They dispatched the 3rd Fleet to investigate, then the 5th when the 3rd failed to report. Each time the same result, vessels vanishing without trace only to have their crews deposited at remote hegemony outposts days later with no memory of what had occurred. Zethara found herself promoted to admiral, tasked with finding a solution to what High Command refused to acknowledge as anything more than a technical anomaly. She knew better. She had seen Captain Chen's eyes, heard the quiet confidence in her voice. Humanity had evolved beyond the hegemony's ability to comprehend, let alone control. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted overnight, and the whispers were true. A single human warship had done it, and somewhere in the depths of space, the Prometheus continued its patient vigil, ensuring that humanity's children could grow up free among the stars.